Hello everybody. Today I am working on creating a card for one of my Altenew classes. It's called Color Your World by Theresa Calvert. I hope I pronounced her name correctly. And so I'm going to give it a whirl and put my spin on it and see what I come up with. So I thought it might be kind of fun to record it. So I'm starting with a color wheel. Well, it's not exactly a color wheel, it's a color chart. I couldn't find my color wheel, imagine that. I've got some white holographic embossing powder and I've got some clear embossing powder. I've got my Artistro watercolor paint set. I'm just going to set these off to the side till I need them. I've got my Altenew Sunshine Bloom stamp and Sunshine Bloom die. I'm going to set them right there. And I've got a background stamp. Let's see if I can see what it is called. Chocolate Flowers background stamp set, and it's dots and then a really nice grid. So what I'm thinking I'm going to try, I'm going to stamp the dots onto a piece of rice paper with Midas Spectrum Noir Metallic Gold Pigment. And then I'm going to sprinkle it with clear embossing powder and emboss it. And that's going to be part of my background. So let's get started, shall we? If I can get this out of here. Let's see. Okay, we'll put this over here. We want, oh, this has got some cool sentiments on it too. I'm probably going to use one of the sentiments. So let's pull this off of here. Now, I don't know what the weather is like where you are, but it's like 15 degrees here, and it snowed in Florida. Holy cow. That's just like really unbelievable. Now this is going to have to stamp a couple of times to get what I want to do. So I'm going to put it right there to start with. My stamp wheel has been getting a lot of love here lately, so it's kind of dirty. All right, I'm going to stamp this onto my rice paper. This rice paper I just ordered from Amazon, and I've ripped it down the middle. I'm not exactly sure what kind of edge treatment I'm going to use for it yet, but we shall see. All right, we got that stamped, and that's just showing up just a little bit, so we'll stamp it one more time. Okay. And then we will quickly move to the second one, because I have kind of some plans for this. If it turns out the way I'm wanting it to. And if y'all notice, I put a gemstone up on my the top of my stamp wheel so that I would know quickly at a glance where I want to place it to get it into my form properly. Now, I don't know if this is going to emboss or not, but we will try it. And you'll notice I forgot to rub it with the anti-static powder. I usually do forget to do that. So do as I tell you, not as I do. Don't forget to stamp that. All right, now we're going to remove all of this. We're going to pull our, oh, that worked well. Had a little handle to grab hold of. Okay, take our embossing powder waste sheet, and we're going to sprinkle our embossing powder all over this, hopefully. I'm hoping that this is going to call these to a little more attention. And like I say, I've got some ideas on how I'm hoping that this background is going to turn out, but we'll just have to see. All right, let's kind of spread that around and see what we get. Might end up being like something I embossed this weekend where it just embossed the whole thing. But what I was working on turned out kind of interesting just the same. So it was a nice little surprise, a little learning experience, and those are never bad. All right, let's see, can we get this back into the jar, the pot they call it in England. I watch a lot of English YouTubes, and they call it an embossing pot. All right, there's that. Get my little wipe up that mess. Okay, now I'm going to pause you while I emboss this, because y'all have seen lots of embossing. No point in taking up video time watching me emboss, so I'll be right back. Okay, so now I have embossed my rice paper, and I have freckled paper. How about that? I kind of like that look though, and hopefully by the time I finish with it, it's going to be really neat looking. All right, so I'm going to set that aside. I'm going to bring my stamp wheel back, and I'm going to put in, this is some mixed media paper. Let's see, I guess I need to, it said it was good for wet and dry medium, so I'm going to do some white embossing on this. Let's put this down here, and before I forget, I need to, whoops, stuff is falling everywhere, clean off my little stamp pad here. This got all down in the cracks, goodness sake. We just kind of knock the worst of it off and set it aside till after we get through with the video. Okay, there's that. Pull that off. So now we're going to stamp several times with the Sunshine Bloom stamp. It's got a nice expression at the bottom of it too. It says "so grateful." Okay, we're going to peel that away. Now, this has not been used before, so I'm going to rub my hand over it so that it'll start getting a good impression. And I'm going to put that there. I'm going to grab my embossing ink. I'll pause you while I hunt that. That was what I forgot to get. Be right back. Okay, good thing that thing doesn't time out while you're hunting. I've been doing some ink swatch cards, and so my inks are at a disarray. Okay, I'm going to set my swatch card aside for just a moment while we're doing this. Okay, slide over there, slide over there. Now I'm going to stamp my bloom several times. I don't know exactly how many times I want to put it on the card. I had one idea, and then I swapped it for another idea. You know how it goes when you're designing. You're never quite 100% sure what you want to do, and guess what I forgot to do again was to swipe my embossing non-static powder on there. Will survive. Okay, do this one more time. Now we're going to do something I've never really done before. We're going to pick the wheel up, and we're going to turn it over to where it goes right there in the middle like that, and turn it around so I don't get confused. Imagine me confused. Okay, we're going to stamp. And you can faintly see the embossing ink on here. Okay, and now I'm going to lift this up and I'm going to turn it again. Yep, just like that. And I'm going to stamp. This will give me 4 flowers. It's pretty cool, actually. It's the first time I've really used the stamp wheel in this fashion. And then I'm going to turn it one last time, and I'm going to stamp. And I had an avalanche. All my little things that I was stamping my card swatches with decided to fall off. Okay. Barbie's laughing. I can hear her from here. Barbie, you stop that. Barbie is my friend from Scrappy Shack, and we're always messing with each other in our videos. She has a YouTube channel also. It's Glitter Goblin Crafts, I believe is what it is. I will put the actual name of her channel in my comments, in my description, so that you can go see her. She's a much better teacher than I am, and she's always picking on me because I can't ever find anything. She's not picking on me, she's gently having fun, and I pick back. So all right, we've got that stamped. Let's get the ookie glue off of here. Set this aside in a non-avalanche zone. We're going to pull up our papers. Set that aside. Get our embossing powder catcher. And this time we're going to use the holographic white embossing powder and see what we get. Okay, we got 4 little flowers to emboss. And the reason that I'm embossing this is that I want to do some watercoloring, and I want the embossing powders to create stoppers so that the watercolor doesn't creep beyond. Oh, that's going to be pretty. Can you see the glitter in that? Okay, let me get this back in the jar, back in the pot. Okay, and once again, there's no need to make you suffer through watching me emboss this, so I will be back as soon as I get them all nice and shiny. I'll be right back. Okay, I've embossed my flowers, and it's just a subtle, on camera it's very subtle. I don't know if you can see that or not, but pretty nice. Okay, now I want to tape my watercolor down. I want to tape this down so it doesn't just warp horribly. It's already warped on account of the embossing, and I did heat from the back starting out so that it wouldn't warp quite as bad, but it's still warped. But that's okay. We're going to end up die cutting these out anyway. That is a little close there, Jennifer. It's okay. For some reason, I just really wanted to tape something down today. Okay. That's fairly well taped down except for that spot right there. All right. Okay. Now, we're going to get the Artistro watercolor. So I'm going to put my embossing thing up there so I don't electrocute my silly self. The Lord knows it could happen. Okay, I've got a water brush deal. I've got my water spray. And I've got this. And I'm going to try all of them. Okay. Now, looking at my color chart, I used a gold. Gold means I can go into the blues. So I'm going to use some combinations of blue to paint my flowers. And then it also says that I can go into the reds just a little bit. So I'm probably going to put a little bit of red in the center of these flowers. Maybe. We'll see. All right, so I'm gonna wet the blues. And I'm gonna take my I'm not gonna mix. I'm gonna paint. I hope this is gonna paint. I needed to have wet my paper. I forgot to do that. It's like I'm always telling y'all, I'm not the watercolorist. My mama is the watercolorist. So we're gonna get this good and wet. I hope, yeah, I'm in frame. That's good, because I didn't think about that when I stuck these things down. Yeah, buddy, we're professional around here. Okay, here we go. Let's try this again. We're going to drop that in there. And we're going to watch that flow out. Drop it down in there and watch it flow out. I probably should have done this first so it could dry. But now that I know how to splice, I can set it aside and let it dry and come back and add. Because I learned that little trick. Okay, back to the weather. Like I said, it's about 15 degrees here. I think it was, I don't know exactly how cold it was this morning. We have a Great Dane, and she is ancient. She's, I think, 13 years old, which is pretty much unheard of in the Great Dane world. A very sweet dog. She, of course, doesn't like the cold weather. Who can blame her? I don't think any of us do either. And so at 9 o'clock this morning, she started telling me that she needed to go out. So I would go in and open the kitchen door, and she would stand there and sniff and go back to bed. So we did that forever this morning, about 10 times. Good enough that the house was freezing cold. I'm going to put you on pause, and I'm going to dry this off, and I'll be back to tell you more of the saga of Lacey and Mama. Okay, that didn't take too long. Let's put a little more water on these. So back to the story about Miss Lacey Lou. I think I opened the door for that dog 10 times before she decided to go out. Now she's outside and she won't come back in. And up here where I live, people have this big habit of, if they see a dog outside, they'll load it up in their car and take it off because they think people are mistreating the animals. Well, I can clue you, Miss Lacey is not mistreated. She's just stubborn. Okay, I'm going to clean my little brush off, and I'm going to go in with some purple because it says on my color wheel thing that I can add purple. So let's come in here with some of this. Let's spray it. Oh, there's a deeper. Let's go with this real deep one. Let's come in with some of this and drop that down in there and see what happens. Multicolored flowers. Ooh, I'm liking it. I always forget to add the water. That's looking right pretty. Okay, I can see where I need to add a little more of the blue in there as well. And I just lost the top to my brush. Just going back in with some blue in some of these areas. All right, I'm going to dry that, so I will see you again in another minute. Okay, so I've dried these. I'm going to set them aside for a little while and let them dry a little more. So I'm going to pull this tape up, and I want to do the same thing with my rice paper. So I'm going to add some little blotches of color. So I'm going to spritz my rice paper. I'm going to spritz my colors. And I'm going to, let's see, I want blues, I believe. No? What do I want? If I look at my color wheel, I can come across with some oranges, yellows, or perhaps reds. So I think I'm going to do, I think I want to do some splatters in reds. Okay, and then maybe I want to do some splatters in purple. It sort of looks like the red though, doesn't it? Okay. It knocks back the freckles for sure. Oh, and it also says you can add green. So I'm going to add a little bit of green to this. Now that I'm liking very much. All right, so let's try that. I'll be right back. Okay, I've got my rice paper dry. I've also cut out my flowers, and my beginning idea didn't quite work, so I have backed up, and I'm going to try something a little different here. I'm going to see what it might look like to put my sending hugs on the rice paper and emboss that with black holographic powders. Not holographic, but black sparkle powders. So let's see. Let me find just the right place here. Let's see what might happen if we decide to do that. Let's put it right here. Now this is all trial and error, folks. Every bit of it. Okay, there's my dot. I thought about using black ink, but let's try the VersaMark and let's see what happens, because we can always restamp. Always. this is just an experiment. The black may be a little much for this. We'll try it. We'll see what happens. Okay. Lift that up. Avalanche free zone. Lift that up. Avalanche free zone. Get our embossing papers. Do, 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 do. Slide that in. Get our black sparkle. Okay. Lots of experimenting today. Ooh, I think I might like that. We'll see what happens after we emboss it. Oops, I just about had a fatal embossing accident. I just like to have spilled that whole jar and made it go everywhere. That would be, oh, I don't even want to think about that. Okay, I'm just going to subject y'all to this. Get over it. We're just going to dry it on the back here for a few minutes. Let it kind of heat up. And we're going to turn it over. And we're going to watch it emboss. And it turned into a very solid black lump. So let's try it against the cardstock. Yep, didn't work. Okay, so we learned something there. Not to fear, not to fear, not to fear. We will use black ink. Okay, and we'll see what happens with that. Lift up, engage ink. I'm never very good at sentiment stamps anyway, so not a huge surprise there. Hope I got that on the right side. Yeah. Sending hugs. It could be a little darker. Let's get my VersaFine Clair. Because it's a darker ink. See there? Okay, let's see what happens with that. Now this one I will dry because it takes this VersaFine Clair forever and a day to dry. Sending hugs. There. Let's do it one more time. Usually the third time that I think is necessary is the one I come to regret. Any of y'all have inking regret? I always have inking regret. Alright, let's do this. Okay, that looks good. Alright. Clean up the stump. That's as good as it's going to get. Oh, it's stamped all the way through. Look at that. That's because rice paper is thin. Well, this is due a good cleaning anyway. Because it has been very gleefully and joyfully stamped upon, as you can see. Okay. Let's go to the non-avalanche zone. You stay over there. Okay, let's dry this. Okay. And let's think about a sentiment strip. I'll be right back. Okay, so while I was gone, I went ahead and cut my card panel. I embossed, well, I didn't emboss, but I stamped my sentiment because, you know, the one I tried didn't work. So I stamped it and I glued it to a piece of paper and I cut it, and I cut it a little more and I cut it a little more and I did a little trimming. So you know how it goes. Okay, so now I have got a card panel, and y'all, I am so bad at getting these things on straight. So I'm going to show you what I do to try to get my card panels on straight. You don't have to do it like this. I get it situated, then I get my glue, then I get me a death grip on my card panel and my card base, and I raise up one end of the card panel, and I slap some glue on there, just like that, and I rub it down, and then I hold it till it's good and secure, and then I turn it around and I raise the other end up, and I do the same thing. I have tried so many times to do it the proper way, and I end up with a very skewed card panel. So I do it this way. Now, if I put dimensional tape on it, which I thought about doing today, I almost never, ever get my little panels on there right. Never happens. Okay, now here's what we're thinking about doing. We're thinking about putting that there, and look at these just, I thought they turned out so nice. So I'm just going to scatter them around. I might even pop them up. That might be what I do. Maybe I'll do that and pull this down here like this. Now my Sending Hugs looks really primitive compared to the flowers, and I can look at it and tell that bottom panel is, that bottom edge is very crooked. So I'll work on that a little bit. Put it back down here. I like that. It's simple. I like the watercolors. Okay, let's pop these up. Let's live on the dangerous side. Is that bigger than my, no, that's just about right. Okay. Okay. Got that popped up. Let's put it right. Well, I either need to put it in the middle or I need to put it like I'm not trying to put it in the middle. I opt for not trying to make it look like I'm putting it in the middle. That's fairly straight. Okay. Now, I have 4 flowers. It's usually better. What about if I layer one? Nah. Could put one off to the side like that, and that, and then do little doodahs. Okay, now we're cooking with gas. All right. First flower going down. Oh I'm off frame. Sorry about that. We're going to put you right there. Next flower going down. Tape. This one is going over here just a little bit off the edge. I don't want it to go off the edge, but it's going off the edge. It's too late. It's stuck down now. Okay. Let's get us another piece of tape and cut it in half. Okay. That one right there. Now let's look at something. What about if I cut that in half and stuck it up under? And I kind of like that idea. So we're going to do that. We're going to come along and we're going to cut this in half like that. Well, I might have messed the whole thing up, huh? Maybe not. If I did that, I'm just playing here. Trying to make it work now that I've destroyed my flower. I don't know. I just don't know. I don't think so. I think that is it. So I'm going to turn over. I'm going to cut off my little card wispies here. There we go. And I am going to call that done. I like it. No, it's not done. Ooh, what am I thinking about? We gotta have sparkles. Get off my finger. Now it's starting to feel more complete. I know that one went off here, but I don't see it. Ah. Okay, now I believe it's complete. So, thank you very much for joining me and putting up with all the pausing and all of that good stuff. Please let me know what you think about this card in the comments. Please consider liking and subscribing, and I will see you at another time. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.